Nothing creates vaccine hesitancy like ignoring people when they're reporting problems with vaccines that they're being mandated and forced to take. Vaccines that they have to take in order to keep their job. Vaccines that they have to take in order to be able to go to restaurants, go into stores, go into public places. Vaccines the doctors are telling them to take, but yet when they're screaming from the rooftops, something's wrong with the vaccines, I'm telling you, that creates vaccine hesitancy. The other problem is when you get censored on the internet or you get permanently banned on social media when you are a victim of a vaccine injury or a doctor trying to report what you were seeing in your patients from vaccines. This chart right here, this represents vaccine reports from all vaccines since 1990, 34 years. This represents reports on the COVID-19 vaccines since December of 2020, less than 4 years. Something's wrong with the vaccines. And just because people are walking around and they've been vaccinated and they're not reporting a problem doesn't mean other people aren't having problems. And this has been virtually ignored. So much so, not only has it been ignored, it's also been censored and banned and labeled misinformation. This was a coordinated effort with the White House, the Surgeon General, the CDC, the Department of Homeland Security, CISA, Stanford, and the Virility Project. As a matter of fact, real people with real problems got censored, such as Maggie DeGaray. Maggie was a young child who developed severe symptoms and is still has a feeding tube today. She is a very sick child. That happened from the COVID vaccine. But her mother was taken off of the internet when she tried to report the problem. Can you imagine trying to report a problem with your child who's having a real vaccine injury, but yet social media takes you off? And the White House says it's okay, and Department of Homeland Security says it's okay, and they label it misinformation? We can talk about funding these government programs and throwing more money at these government programs, but that isn't going to change the fact that vaccines should have never been forced on all these people to begin with. And if we want to talk about diseases like measles being transmitted among Americans, then perhaps we should talk about border security and stopping people who are unvaccinated from coming across our border and allowed to come into our country and then supporting them with taxpayer funds. I think that's a serious issue.